These fast food buildings haven't changed since your childhood. With companies wanting to turn everything more modern and making buildings have a more neutral design, you won't see a lot of fast food places that look like these anymore. Buildings like this Burger King, Arby's, McDonald's, or even a yellow roof Wendy's are all designs of the past that will soon be gone forever. So I want to see them before I no longer can. And I'll even visit an old Taco Bell later in this video that now sits abandoned. But first place I'm looking at is this Popeyes with the old orange color. Fast food places back then all wanted a unique color to them, as you'll see throughout this video. But now it's the exact opposite, with everything having to be white or gray, which is exactly what the new Popeyes locations look like. So in the near future, all of these orange buildings will be gone. Obviously, they had older buildings in the past before this, but this is the one that I remember the most, and they're starting to get rid of these completely. I miss when fast food places had color to them. Like Burger King had blue, McDonald's had red, and Popeyes had orange. But now, they don't want that anymore. So right on the top, you can see the old Popeyes logo, but honestly it hasn't really changed that much, so it's barely noticeable that it is the old logo. And then on the side, of course, you have the drive-thru, and I've always been a fan of the turquoise colors that they use, and surprisingly that is a color they kept to this day. So I guess there's a little bit of color in there, but it's mostly white. As for the inside, it was pretty typical for an older Popeyes, with them even having the jars in the middle filled with random spices. But now we move on to KFC. These building types usually had a restaurant attached to them, with this one being no different. This was originally an A&W and KFC combined, but eventually the A&W closed, leaving only the KFC. I spent so long trying to find an older one, but this is the best I got. But you can check out the video where I saw an abandoned one of the old style KFC building, but at least it has the old color scheme and the original photo of Colonel Sanders right there. On the actual sign itself near the road, they updated it so it's the newer photo. And they most likely changed the sign when they got rid of the A&W that used to be attached to it. If you look at the left side of this building, it looks different from the other, and that's because that used to be the A&W. If they were to combine a store nowadays, it would definitely be Taco Bell and KFC. They would never do A&W. As for the inside, you literally can't go in. They have the doors locked. My guess is this location probably won't last much longer, especially with them locking the doors, but we'll see what happens. I mean, the reviews are just horrible for this place. I wouldn't be surprised if this shuts down anytime soon, especially since they don't even bother remodeling the location, so who knows what's gonna happen, but all I know is that they got this place locked up. Next up is an old Arby's that somehow hasn't been changed. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the old sign, but the building is good enough. This Arby's location has always been one of my favorites. I've actually been here before in the past for a video because there's not many of these old buildings left. Now, there actually is an older style building before this, and that was when Arby's first came out back in the 60s, but this is the design right after that from around the 1980s. Now, unfortunately, the sign for this location is not really old at all. It is an older logo, but it's definitely not one of those classic signs. But what makes this location really stand out is the inside. Everything is wooden and has a really warm feeling. It's almost like you're eating at your grandma's house. That's how I feel when I walk into this Arby's, versus today where it feels like prison. I feel like many fast food places that I go to where the building is older, it always seems to be that the inside has been remodeled, but you definitely can't say the same about this place. Now we have an old blue roof Burger King, but it's not a typical one you would see back in the day. This is a giant location to make room for the playground inside. Now, it really doesn't get any better than this when it comes to old buildings. Most of the time when you go to an older style one, it's because they haven't remodeled it in a while, so it ends up being pretty beat up, but this one is in such great condition still. You don't even want to know how many times I've walked into a building like this where the inside is completely beat up, the toilet's missing. That's usually what it ends up being, so seeing something this good is really rare. You can see the blue roof all along the building, and then the logo at the top with the American flag blowing right beside it. The inside, of course, has a playground with old things still there, like this sign for the shoes featuring one of the characters from the Burger King Kids Club, all the different posters on the wall, and even the plants. I feel like every fast food place had plants back then, but you barely see that anymore. Now we move on to Taco Bell with this building. You can see the orange color all around with the old roof. I haven't seen a Taco Bell that looked like this in a long time. On the building itself, you can see the older Taco Bell logo. Not the oldest one, but definitely older than the new one. But for some reason on the sign out front, they actually changed it so it has the newer logo on there. And on this logo, people always make the dumb joke that you can see a lizard eye in the bell. It's the biggest conspiracy theory ever.
I spy with my little eye a lizard eye.
The inside has the classic color scheme and really brings you back with how little they changed. One of my favorite things is when I walk into a fast food place and the inside is also old. Now, as old as this building is, I wanted to find one a little bit older, and this is the best I could get. It is abandoned, but it's the original design of the Taco Bell buildings. You almost never see these anymore. Take a look at this. This is exactly how the buildings used to look like when they first opened. Up on the top there, you can see the outline of the logo, and it clearly says Taco Bell. And then right in the front here, this is where the sign would be. Going back in time on Google Maps, the last time it was open was in 2013. So that means this thing has sat here abandoned for the past 10 years now. Actually 11. Now, for the most part, every window is boarded up besides this little sliver right here. So let's take a look in there. Now, when I looked in the building, there really wasn't much there other than seeing the classic color scheme of the old restaurants, but that's about it. Also, I was curious what this building right next to it was, because this is also shut down and it used to be an old Denny's. And since I threw these two buildings in there, why not a third one? Over here, you can see this place that definitely was an old Wendy's. It took me 1 second to look at this to instantly know what it used to be. No life, maybe, but what can I say? Now, as rare as this design is, another one that's becoming just as uncommon is McDonald's. They are remodeling every location as fast as they can, so to see one like this untouched is almost impossible. It has the old red roof, a playground inside with Ronald McDonald, and as you eat, you will see golf-related things everywhere for some reason. But I like it because it makes this location unique. I have visited this one before in a video, but I had to come back one last time because they are actually demolishing this soon and replacing it with the new look. These buildings used to be the standard for McDonald's, and every building would look like this, but now there is so few left that it's almost impossible just to randomly find one. So before you know it, this McDonald's will be completely gone and it'll be like it was never here, which is definitely a shame because this building is in pretty good condition. But as rare as all of these are, none of them compare to this. That's right, this is a yellow roof Wendy's. I'll be honest, I never saw this as a kid. The roofs are always brown or a darker color, but it was yellow at one point. And it makes sense with the old packaging they had back then, and every fast food building wanting its own unique color. I couldn't believe one of these still exists. This particular Wendy's inspired this entire video because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know yellow roof Wendy's existed, so I made it my mission to find one of these along with a bunch of other fast food places in this video. But this is really cool to see because it's so unique. Right up there you can see the old Wendy's logo with the original face. The inside had that classic feel just like the Arby's, with everything being wooden and even having a sunroom. I used to love eating in those when I was younger. I would say the sunrooms are hard to find now. You'll pretty much never see a modern fast food building with a sunroom. And of course, I always love throwing extra stuff in this video. Right in front of that yellow Wendy's, you have this old Pizza Hut. I'm just randomly finding so much old stuff today, I guess. Hope you enjoyed all these old buildings. Make sure to subscribe, and I am now selling merch. Click the link in the description to get yours today.